to a job which has a very public presence. And because of the public presence, perceptions matter to you. This is a reality. And we must face this. These perceptions, there are people who will say, Arey sir, kya ho gaya? Aapki posting wahan ho gayi. And this, whatever, however reasonable to yourself, however logical you are, however unemotionally you look at things, you will be affected. People will tell you things, and this is how it is. In this country, where people clap at human beings, citizens of India, being killed on point blank range after being kept quietly for 2 days in some back room of the thana, in this country where citizens clap on that, you know what public perception is. This whole idea of a huge vehicle going and breaking somebody's home, under which law, taking roof away from people's families, children, under which law? So in this society where people are still, many people, not all, there are many mature people in this nation who do not like these things, but there are many people who are still have the puerile pleasure of their children who will just burn a match to see what the fire looks like, just without understanding what the risks are. So there are people who do these burning of the matches. So this is a reality. But what you are doing is amazing, and this whole idea of uh, creating centers of excellence. This is such an important thing, because these centers of excellence means that those officers there will be dedicated to that, they'll be invested in that, and they'll have a whole planning. This is exactly how training cannot run without planning. You should remain in training. When I was posted as a PT, I was given the option by those days. The DG used to ask you whether you'll go to a battalion, armed force battalion, or to a training school. I said I want to go to a training school. That was also because I wanted to go to Pachmadi, which is a very beautiful place. So I was posted as police training school principal in Pachmadi, and there we did a lot of experiments in Pachmadi also. But what the moment I reached there, I realized that I need to stay here for at least 3 years, because if I want all those ideas as a young officer, if I want to implement them, if I just immediately start looking for a district, I'm not going to be able to do it. So therefore you need to be invested in that and have the clarity of mind that you want to change the paradigm. And that's what an excellent work that you're doing. In fact, I must remark about Rajiv ji. He started this magazine. I mean, he didn't start it, but the magazine Rakshin became such an important magazine from Rajasthan Police Academy. I suddenly got a mail from somebody working in Cardiff University that, ma'am, can I quote your this article that you have written? Can I quote cite you in my paper? She was doing a PhD or something, some police officer doing a PhD. I said, well, it's very interesting, and I was so proud that this thing, which is a provincial police academy, a magazine of a provincial police academy, bilingual of course, तो उसमें हिंदी और अंग्रेजी में उन्होंने छापा, और वो कहाँ कार्डिफ में कोई पढ़ रहा. So there are these things which we can do, and that is exactly what I want to know. जो तिलोत्तमा मैम ने कहा कि within these constraints, within this atmosphere, what are the things that we can do, or what have you done? I would like to hear that, please. जी. हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
So, with collaboration of IIM Lucknow, we chose 4 thanas where we would have a better behavior of the people. So, anyone who is visiting the thana, so we trained our policemen, inspector, and everyone to treat them with respect. Sir, Betty, there is our etc. And in lieu of one day mandatory leave for all the police, they were very happy. चलो कुछ तो ले आओ, एक दिन का Inspector, after 2 months I took feedback. Professional taking feedback, I took personal feedback, and they said, "बाकी sir सब ठीक है, होटल को आप बता रहे हो, छुट्टी से बहुत साइड है सर, हम लोग उनसे हमें एक दिन बिता पाते हैं बच्चों के साथ, that keeps a very fresh mental pressure." लेकिन सर जो ये जो सर है कि आप दोबारा में सर ये बंद कर, मैंने कैसे क्यों, प्लस बस पिटना ही बाकी है, नहीं बाकी बाकी सब कुछ हो चुका है। सो बेसिकली ना वो जो अथॉरिटी गलती अगर ना बोले पब्लिक इस तरीके से चढ़ जाती है तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा
उत्तर प्रदेश में तो क्षमा शोभती उस भुजंग को जिसके पास गरल हो, उसको क्या जो विष दंतहीन विष रहित विनीत सरल हो, दिनकर जी ने लिखा है। तो वो ठीक है, उत्तर प्रदेश में मैं मान रही हूँ कि ऐसा है, बट देर आर प्लेसेस इन ट्राइबल डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश where if you address someone like that and tell them to sit, वो आपका जिंदगी भर के लिए खड़ा रहेगा आपके साथ। तो वो है, बट देर आर पीपल एंड पीपल, इंडिया इज अ, हाँ जी
to give respect to all the trainings, not only trainings, the trainers. And उस एक चीज से पर्सनैलिटी टच आ गई ना,
बहुत अच्छी,
सब चीजें बदल गई,
this is the key and we will talk about this a little later. ये बहुत की है, ये जो आपने कहा, एक तो ये जो हर जगह हर इंस्टीट्यूट एक सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस वर्ल्ड क्लास, दैट इज द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग। एंड दूसरा, गिव रिस्पेक्ट टू द ट्रेनर्स। शिक्षक की इज्जत ना हो, ठीक है ना। आजकल हमारी बेटी प्रोफेसर है तो कहती है कि कुछ बच्चे सिर्फ इसलिए विरोध करते हैं क्योंकि मैं उनके लिए व्यवस्था का अंग हूँ, and they need to be, you know, rebellious. So because I am from the establishment, they need to be rude, they need to be rebellious. तो शिक्षक की इज्जत होती है तो अपने आप चीजें ठीक होने लगती है। So this is another point which you will keep in mind. और आगे प्लीज, anyone? साउथ इंडिया से कोई प्लीज, तमिलनाडु, एनीवन? Whatever we have been projecting, we have been able to get so far, except for the temporary police schools. So that way the resources are regarding the trainers, the willingness of the trainers and their involvement and their delivery. There we are constantly trying to improve. And we are trying to make it more professional. We understand that we are trainers who are qualified only by work. They are not per se trainers. They have no teaching experience or teaching expertise. To that aspect, we are tying up with the local Anna Institute of Management. There is a management institute who coaches for the training sections of all the departments. So we are in that. Now also we are trying for coordination with other people who are expertise in teaching methodology and teaching as a profession, like the previous session we were talking about drawing a plan of lesson and how it will be delivered, preparation goes into that part. Motivation wise, we have that incentive for training that which is happening. Now we are trying to make it like once somebody comes into the training academy or the preschool, then they will undergo some courses by which they will qualify themselves, then we can give that incentive. That relation also we are trying to. These are the latest developments. This is very important, and this is something we've been trying to work on. So, anyone else? Uh-huh. Yeah.
we and like you said about trainers and trainees, so that Shishtamchara was one way of ensuring that respect and dignity are watchwords. Going back to the VR, be the people of
Be the
India. So we put the preamble of the constitution everywhere and try to address that. Apart from other things, I'm sure so many people are doing far better things, more effective.
Nothing is better. These things are just different.
So yes, so now so we try to get so we got very good people who are artists, who are theater people. I think self-expression, like you mentioned now about being anti-establishment. I really believe maybe a picture of that era of 70s and 80s, where we were given a lot of space as students to be anti-establishment just for the
Sake of it.
sake of it. So that also needs to be factored in, and that issue of I don't know how sir, so many people have spoken about all the committees on outdoor and all. I think one very important issue to resolve is that how do you feel that you will be able to implement order and discipline without being inhuman or rude. I think that is the thing everybody grapples with, especially as I can say very big things at the stage that I am. But the actual trainer on the ground, how do they implement it? How do they get the confidence to implement it? That is the main challenge.
Yeah.
Yes. One observation on your last comment. In this training methodology thing which we discussed in last session, one of the idea is also to change the mindset from from police force to police service. So that is what is also inbuilt in the new curriculum. That from being thinking of yourself as a force, member of the force, think a member of the service. So I think that may take care of that part of it.
Yeah. That's
BPR has this thing that every constable is an enrolled police officer. So maybe I don't know whether that is that divide of being officers and like maybe that also something that we can maybe bridge that gap. I don't know how if somebody studied how good that is.
yeah. So I'll just sum it up in a few minutes. The thing is that in Madhya Pradesh, and again I'm telling you, there is nothing better. There are things which are just different because India has कहते हैं कि कितने भारत. There are lots of realities in our country. Each area in Madhya Pradesh itself, there are 4 5 areas which are very different from each other. Uttar Pradesh has many more areas which are different from each other. So similarly, so in Madhya Pradesh, when Sir was DGP, at that time we started with the initiative taken by our DGP, Mr. Rishi Kumar Shukla, that we started a dialogue with academia and think tanks. The thing is that the idea that we know everything, number one, is a problem. None of us know everything, nobody knows everything. And the second idea that everybody else is just going to be critical of us is another problem, right? And the third idea that, uh, there are some secrets to be kept. We are not operating, except for the border states on the border of India, we are not operating in some system in which there are things which we have to keep very close to our chest. We are serving the people, as Rajiv ji just said. The thing is, the problem with the service model is that it's a very final stage. There are some people in our service who think of themselves as a force, but there are many people who think of themselves as guardians. And I have no problem with the guardians also. Even if they're a little patronizing, a little condescending, they are not so problematic as they are like as the force people. So we decided that we have to talk to other people, listen to them, and see from a third party angle how we are faring, what we are doing. And so we had lots of academic tie-ups, and that started much before I came to training. And so these tie-ups were with Tata Institute of Social Sciences, with JPAL, with National Law Academy, and lots of other such places. With many. I don't want to enumerate all of them. It's a long list, and each of them had looked at something or the other and gave us reports, worked with us. Some of them worked with us on training on certain issues, like on gender issues, child issues. UNICEF was a big partner. So we had these things. When I came to training, this was still continuing, and it of course came to me, and we decided that we will look at our trainers. So we had an exam. We talked to our trainers who were already posted there, and they were all a sad lot, as you well know. So we talked to them and we said that, can we have an exam? And we had an exam in many places. They gave their exams, and because there were some of them were teaching, and they were all, inspectors or device Ps who had been in the cadre, they had been Thana Prabharis and all, and they realized that they didn't know the law very well. Right. The other thing was the outdoor staff, which was very harsh with the trainees. And we asked them that, can you do something without injury? And they said, we don't know. We talked to many institutions and we found out that BSF has an injury prevention program. And we sent all our outdoor staff to the injury prevention program. It has been really very well done. We also requested people who were interested to come to training, and we got some excellent, two, three of them are sitting here, Malay and Suman and Rashmi, they are here. So many people came willingly and they said, okay, we'll do that. I said, you have to commit a few years here, and they committed. So these are little things that we did here. If you want, we can share a little report with you all. What I'm trying to say is that you have to open up to ideas from outside also. I did not know everything about training. And as you very well said, that we come from experience. And of course, there is this new model of pracademic. But in the pracademic, the prac is there, but the academic is also there. I'm not an academic. And therefore, it's better to understand things. Be a little humble. Humility always helps you. Be a little humble in learning from others. And I'm sure that this idea, which today we have heard of two, three ideas, I'm sure you can pick it up and use it in your places. The core of it, what is training, the core of it is how invested are you. The word is investment. And what Tilotma ma'am said very well, that when you're here, you do your work. And why wouldn't you? It's and I said I told the chief minister that I have a constituency amongst the ranks. So I why don't you make a constituency among those people? There are ways when and let me tell you, human beings copy each other. You can lead best by example. And if you are the kind of person you want that trainee to be, you are slowly by osmosis, you are going to make that person the person you want to be. But you need to be that. If you are abusive, if you are in the Tempest, Shakespeare says, you learnt me language. And my profit on it is I learned to curse. Right. So if you just use curses for me, I'll only use curses for the others. And slowly down the hierarchy it goes. So before we just think of being as a public service, we also need to think as primus inter pares in a department which is a team. You do not realize it when you're sitting in your big office. You do not realize it when you're standing up and giving a lecture in the hall. But you will realize it when you're right in the middle of a law and order situation and stones are being pelted from all sides. Then you and your constable are in that team. And you're just primus inter pares. That's it. Maybe his suggestion can actually save your life at that point. He would want to know whether you respect his ideas, and only then he can talk to you about his ideas. Therefore, this whole attitude of your being a part of a team where you are important but not primary, you being the person who is actually invested in that whole situation, in training, in learning about training, because the whole world is abuzz with many various very respectable training programs. If you are interested in learning, then you will immediately change the scenario. Even the rubber band, which you have a short rubber band, can stretch to a bit, and you can do your bit in that. I thank you all for this little conversation we had, and thank you, my friend Rajiv ji, for calling me over, and Director Saab, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your input. I request BPR&D to please honor ma'am as a visiting her with the moment.
अब आप इधर आओ।
मोमेंटम पे अच्छा चलिए डीजी साहब कुछ कर रहे हैं तो
डीजी साहब करेंगे, करना ही पड़ेगा। ठीक रहा।
So in our cadre, MP cadre, they say that when Anuradha has spoken, that is the last word. तो हम लोग तो उसके बाद बोल नहीं सकते. And when they say that she spoken on training, then probably that is the last word.
I request the panelists for the next session. After we start with the third session of the day, the topic is installing safety for women and children, challenges and future directions. We have on our panel Shri Kumar Shukla sir. Sir is a retired IPS officer, 1984 batch, and he retired as President CPI in 2021 and remained active as CP in Madhya Pradesh. With him, we have Ms. Charu Bajra, ma'am is 1995 batch Haryana Cadet Police Officer. She is presently posted as ATG RTC Bhojpuri, Haryana. Next on panel, we have Ms. R. Rajyoti ma'am. She is ADG from Director, Bihar Police Academy. She is 1995 batch officer. With them, we have Shri Naveen Tekara sir. He is 1996 batch IPS officer, Officer Pradesh Cadre, and presently posted as ADG Uttar Pradesh. I welcome all the panelists and hand over the session.
Thank you. First of all, I wish to thank BPR&D for inviting me here to be part of this panel to discuss very important issue. I am out of the police now. Basically, this training symposium is for you guys to do. So I will basically leave the speaking to my colleagues who are actually doing the work. So just introduce the subject. We have seen in the last about 60, 70 years a humongous change. Everything has changed. My generation has seen things changing from a no road position to a 6-lane highway position, where the person who has killed and put the body somewhere, if he has to now find that body willingly, he cannot find it because there is no road. The 6-lane highway, where communications have changed, everything has changed. But amongst this change, which you have all seen and continuously seen, there has been something which is happening which is not so easily visible. That is a huge social change which is happening. What has happened is from the time of the Second World War, when women in the West first stepped out and filled in the roles which men were doing, from that's about hardly about 70 years, everything has completely changed with women and the way they were being in the society. India has been equally fast in that change. That the change is so tremendous, the integration is so fast that it's very difficult to really understand what's happening. This change, particularly with positive reservations for women in educational institutes and in government service and so on and so forth, has brought many more women here in India outside their homes. And that has been from a time when at best, they were considered to be a person to be protected by the men. That is the sort of patriarchal society which we've been having. From there to anything down the line, they were not considered as independent who could contribute something to the society positively. That changed so fast. Obviously, when things have changed so fast, and the change which has hurt people is because of the change in power dynamics inside the family and in the society. Both socially and financially, it's not easy. The such changes take a lot of time to settle. That we have seen so many sort of fast
so and so case we changed the law, we have now completely changed the laws, the procedures, we changed everything. They're very stringent now. But has it worked? Not really. The more stringent laws show that the judges who are sitting on trial are more reluctant to convict. The latest statistics are not very encouraging when it comes to conviction in crime against women. So that basically means that we have a long way to go. It's not going to change so easily. It's not one Kolkata rape case, it's not one Nirbhaya case, it's not one Hathras UP case. There are any number of such cases that are happening. Uh, we in Madhya Pradesh were sort of in the always the forefront because we had large number of quantity of crime against women was large. When they said we are welcoming women to come and register the complaints, it used to be quite a challenge because anything which happens now becomes a challenge to the party in power, saying कि आपने अपराध को control नहीं कर रहे, देखिए women के साथ ये हो रहा है. So it's a huge challenge which happens to police. That is something which we need to understand. Given this dynamic situation, there cannot be an answer today that this is how we should go about equipping or making our people respond to a crime against women situation. It has to keep changing. We have to be as fast as the social dynamics is changing. We, in fact, in Madhya Pradesh, we were probably the first state. We are quite modest as Anuradha here. She doesn't tell you what the training branch has done in all these years. We created first a department called Crime Against Women 20 years back. We created in each district a crime against women cell and they investigate cases and so on. That really did not change the statistics in so many ways, but we were able to at least find out some people who we could reach out. So that was one step. This challenge is going to continue because each time we are making a first response to a woman victim, it is always a response which is slightly, with some amount of distrust or doubt that what she is saying, is she speaking correct, is she not speaking correct? It does not help that when cases are acquitted, in 60% cases almost, the prosecutrix has turned those sides. So people say, यहाँ तो ये बोल रही है वहां जाके बदल जाती है. Whether it is because of pressure, whether it is because of money, whatever it is, whether it's because of time taking time, fact is that these are challenges which are going to remain very active in the near future. How do we go about is a question. I would, before leaving this discussion for now, just like to introduce you to an academic research which we have done. I have circulated a paper with all of you. This was done for almost 5 years, and it was done by an independent group of university professors. We did not tell them what to write, what not to write. The economics or a social paper being published in a magazine like Science does not easily accept papers which are of social sciences. Itself shows that what this paper has contributed. We are scared of going into such academic researches because it often brings out such evidences which probably we may not like. However, what they have written, I fully agree with that. But what we gained in that, in the 5 years of experience, is something which a few points I'll leave with you. One, we coined a word called Urja. Urja is, what is it, Anuradha? She's the acronym master. What is it?
Urgent relief and just action.
Urgent relief and just action. So each police station, we started with 60, and now we have gone on to almost 1,000. The entire state has been covered. It got scaled up because of the sheer efficacy of how it reacted in 1 year, 2 years time. What was most important in this is the way our non-governmental groups also joined us in training the people who were working on this Urja test. We started the randomized control system. 60 police stations to start with, non-intervention, 60 police stations trained people who are deaf, 60 police stations trained people and women who are deaf. And the result is very, very obvious. Wherever we got women trained, women police officers, they were far more responsive to a person who's coming as a first respondent. Also, secondly, and most importantly, these trained people were to go and make out community outreaches. So they created a group of, I mean, you can call it community policing, so it's a mixture of community policing and training where they created an almost 180 police stations, such teams, which are now probably one of the most strong components of this Urja desk, who are there to counsel people, who are there to bring them to the police station, and who are there, and they're all largely they are all women. I would also like to point out that besides the number of crimes, rapes, and so on, 40,000, whatever NCRB reports, uh, the BPR had done that 900 things, and with UP, we had started something which was called as Dial 100 in 2016. When we analyzed the data, we in Madhya Pradesh used to register and just really just 700 crimes a day. 700 crimes a day we used to register in Madhya Pradesh. About 2.75 lakh IPC and other crimes per year. We are one of the larger ones. And the Dial 100 used to get calls for police intervention to the tune of 7,000 per day, which means that the actual cases which we were registering was just about 10% of the people who sought police intervention. Out of these 7,000 cases, almost 3,500 cases were for abuse against women, could be domestic, could be neighborhood, whatnot. But it was the women victims who were there, and these women victims, at least in this Dial 100 system, somebody went and reached out to them. Otherwise, nobody is going to listen to them. It is these 7,000 cases which we were addressing through this community outreach that this thing has begun. It's got a long way to go. There are no easy answers to this hugely challenging situation. I now request Charu to tell us of some great initiatives which she has taken. She is also again very modest. She is a very good scholar and is registered in a PhD also. I learned it just now. Come on, Charu.
Thank you very much, sir. It's going to be very glad after this we will learn. I apologize in advance, but thank you very much, sir, for setting the ball rolling on a topic which is quite ticklish. It's difficult to navigate the terrain of it, and that is why when we look at trainings, I mean, what does a trainee, whether it's a constable or a sub inspector or inspector or even DYSC or even an IPS officer, what do they look at? What are they trying to see when they go for an intervention for crime against women? It's a very dynamic. It's also a very dynamic topic. So, with the permission of sir, we've all decided that it should be more of a conversation, and I will whatever I little have understood, I'll just put forth a few propositions, from whatever I see other things which worry us as police leaders and trainers. So, it's also a problem which is tied up with the very first topic, which was about standardization. Right? How do we, in such a diverse country, and like Sir's paper says, it is a patriarchal society. How do we, standardize or give a minimum quality of service to crime against women? Because crime against women is not just a crime against women; it is obviously crime against society, their husbands, their fathers, the entire family and community is affected if a woman faces some kind of lack of safety. All of us try to arrange how to win. If women are not safe, all of us try to arrange how our daughters and mothers and girls in our females in our families will go from place A to B in public places. So obviously concerns, I guess, in the end, all of us. So the first challenge I feel in training is that how does a trainee understand what really constitutes violence against women? Of course there are laws. I mean there is the statute it tells you, that so and so, this is harassment. But these are all very nebulous terms which are largely understood in a sociological context. Like what the person, and again that concept of being a judge and jury really comes down to every police officer, of whatever rank, because for the public the police is just the police. Whenever somebody comes and complains of crime, the responder has to understand somewhere in their mind whether this really constitutes a crime or not. Like if somebody pushes their wife, is that really violence or not? Right? If somebody has used very harsh words, is that a crime or not? If somebody is come crying, this one thing we hear all the time, what were you wearing, what were you doing at the middle of the night, and things like that. So, in imparting training, I think that is a major challenge, that what really constitutes that violence or crime against women. I think just a few statistics. For example, the world over, at least 50% of women are murdered by their closest family members. Right. If we come down to India, there is, and these are not crime statistics. These are statistics from the National Family Health Survey. Right. The latest one says that in India, 30% women face intimate partner violence, what we call IPV, on a regular basis. 30% women is a very large number. It cuts across all strata of society. And there is this national health, this survey number 5, which says that the position of women, I mean, these are sociological issues. The position of women has improved 2%. On what? Now, instead of 52%, 54% women are allowed to go on their own to a medical facility. And 48% of women, as opposed to 46%, are allowed to go in normal places, including medical places, like social places or public places, allowed to. Why this? In trafficking, 80% of people trafficked all over the world, as well as India, similar statistics, are women, out of which 50% are minors, less than 18 years old. 18-year-olds in our house are babies. They can't probably brush their teeth properly themselves. So that's the context that we are talking about. How do we ensure that our trainee understands this sociological ground on which all the actions operate and on which they have to take a decision that what do they do next? Like one quick example I give you, there was a lady who came. She was in the Department of Women and Children of the Haryana government, and we were interacting on some issue, and she said that okay, since you are posted here, I have gone on my own to the police station to complain of a man who, sexually harassed me or something like that. He was my boyfriend. He did certain things and things like that. And when I immediately spoke to the SHO and the ACP of that area, she said, "Ki wo to akeli hai." She came alone, right? If she came alone, that means there is no gravitas in her company. Because what we are also used to, at least in Haryana, that happens. I don't know what happens in other states. That's a sociological factor, that people come with their entire family background, right? So panchayat will come, or ABC, 100 people will come, and the only graph against this woman was that she was all by herself. So to understand this, not just the crime, but also if you call someone, the richest of women have to tell, which is slash tell or slash take permission from somebody in their family that can I go and visit? And somebody will easily tell them कि नहीं नहीं आज तो ये त्योहार है आज तो उसके जाना है, how can you go? So that context, how do we make, or what kind of training do we give so that our first responders of any land factor that, within that constraint, what, for example, domestic violence, like Sir said, about half the women probably speak of domestic violence, and we all know as practitioners that's a very ticklish thing again. How do the woman would not like the man to be behind bars, right? How do you then, not just domestic violence in other places, how do you ensure that criminal justice within the social constraints? That is how do you follow it up? Also, the problem that at least which I'm bothered about is also obviously one has been I've been and I'm sure many people have been in charge of crime against women at IT, whatever land. I see fatigue. I see a lot of fatigue in first it's a silo of crime. So one thing becomes that only women are given police station SHOs. They are almost never given as statistics, at least in my state. They're hardly ever given any other police station. Hardly ever. Very very rare that they're given any other police station. ACPs, women ACPs are put in that district. They have to take care. There's so much of fatigue that they go to the point of not being sensitive anymore to that. They stop responding sensitively. Uh, how do you make crime against women not a silo, right? So whatever happens in the district, and person says, "Oh, crime against women files today," right? How do we ensure that every trainee, is responsive and continues to be responsive to crime against women? So also I feel that these men and women also, so maybe training that way is a very important part because in see डकैती हो जाए, छीन हो जाए, कुछ भी हो जाए, or there is any other crime, it's not that every practitioner is also facing that, but crime against women or situation of women or sociological issues in which a woman is disrespected, in which a man will come and sit down and say, "Pani," and the water is right there, and the woman will walk from there and give it to him, whether it's a mother or something. These are expectations that we have, right? How constrained women feel. How do we incorporate that? Because all men and women who are practitioners are also living that life. They're also living that life where they are also permitting somebody or stopping the permission of somebody and things like that, or taking like again in the National Family Health Survey, there is a statistic which says that about 40% women think it's okay for a man to sometimes beat their wife. And I was just going through world statistics, so there are certain parameters which have improved, like things like it is always or sometimes justifiable for a man to beat his wife. These are world statistics. They become a little less. Lesser people say it is justified. But on the other hand, there are things like being abortion is not justified. When jobs are scarce, men should have more right to a job than women. That thought process has increased. So in this context, how do we? That's a special challenge for training. When the same men and women, it's not that women have a special ability to be gender sensitive. Both men and women are brought up by the same patriarchal structure. They think the same way about their roles and responsibilities. So when they themselves are living those lives, how do you ensure that they become more sensitive? Maybe one thing could be gender mainstreaming in training, ensuring that the way the training college is administered, the way we when we were in NPA, we protested because anybody who used to come, we were the ones to be giving class. So we said it up, we had a fine. So things like that, women police officers are always, whatever. I have said that, even on on many occasions on the dais when Haryana police were doing something that survived that lady, get a gentleman. So quickly, some people have been very responsive. It's not, sometimes you can't see, once you start seeing gender, you can't unsee it, I guess. That's a problem. But I guess, as much gender mainstreaming as we can, we have toolkits by the UN downwards, BPR&D is doing such a great job. We have so many, I got so many places where we can train. But somehow the very administration of a training college is, gender sensitized. That might be great. And one thing which I personally feel, is that we have to move from gender neutrality to gender sensitive. Because there's nothing neutral, right? Men and women are very different species. I've learned it through my own boss, I must say. I didn't know that before that. So I think gender sensitive or gender responsive probably is a better option than gender neutral. Thank you very much.
Shahrukh. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I will stop. I don't think I have anything else left to talk on this topic. But as head of a training institute, what is it that I'm looking at? Why is this so important? Why is it each and every conference this is being brought up? Any heinous crime against women, the whole country is impacted. The public, they come out on the streets. They are relentless. They are taking protest. They just don't want to accept all those smaller measures that they are going to do to them. But where does the role of the police come here? The police has to go to scene of crime, register a case, investigate the case, at the same time manage the public also, answer to the relatives also, and also to the media. So how are we going to train them? He has a lot of roles to play. So this is where my request to all of you is to go by case studies. As sir has mentioned, we have two articular hospital incidents that has happened. There are so many incidents that are taking place. So what is it? When you are ridiculed, when you criticize in the media, take it from me. None of the police officer wants that. I don't want to criticize. I want to do it properly so that I can give justice to that weak family. But sometimes something goes wrong. So it is for us as heads of the training institution to find out where we went wrong. To create a case study, to make them understand, sensitize them. This is very important. भैया आपका ट्रिपल मर्डर हो जाए, आपका कोई भी मर्डर जिस तरीके का भी हो जाए, आपका डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैक्सिमम स्टेट हेडक्वार्टर में थोड़े दिनों के लिए रहेगा, लेकिन यहाँ पे हो जाता है, then बहुत बड़ी चीज हो जाती है. तो आप सस्पेंड हो जाओगे, डिसमिस हो जाओगे, आपका ट्रांसफर हो जाएगा, जो भी है. So this has to be told to them. And I don't want to elaborate on why it is important, why women are issues around. But we as the head of the training institutes, we have to design such programs so that they know the crime होने के बाद ठीक है आप जाए आपने एफआईआर में इन्वेस्टिगेशन शुरू किया. But how are you interacting with the family members? How are you interacting with the media? Because they also have to be kept informed. How are you interacting with the agitators? How are you instilling the confidence among the public? You should be doing your job, but you should also be appearing to be doing your job correctly, which sends a correct message into the public. As ma'am already said, we are public servants. We are not government servants. तो हम लोगों का परसेप्शन ये होना चाहिए कि पब्लिक के पास जाए बोले भैया I'm there, I'm doing my job, I'm doing it correctly. जहाँ पे हम लोग वहाँ पे मिस कर रहे हैं, then पूरा हंगामा हो जाएगा. And I don't want to be in that position. कभी भी हम लोग नहीं रहना चाहते हैं. So my request is that case studies, especially BPR&D, sir, आपसे request है सर अनिल किशोर यहाँ पे है. जितने भी ऐसे हुए हैं case studies officers को बुला के क्या-क्या mistakes हुए, कहाँ पे जाना चाहिए था, कहाँ पे क्या हो गया था, so that some SOP is circulated to us and we tell our officers कि जाओ भाई इस तरह से काम करो so that आप काम भी कर लो और अपनी इज्जत भी बचाओ. और निकम्मा ऑफिसर कुछ ऐसे जानबूझ के somebody is doing it, हम लोग उसके लिए कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So मैं ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगी, मेरा इतना इनपुट है, बस बिहार के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में इतना कहना चाहूँगी. बिहार is only state which has 35% reservation for women in police. We are the highest in the representation. Men and women ratio में पुलिस का देखेंगे तो हम लोग highest है. आज की डेट में मेरे अकेडमी में 1275 सब इंस्पेक्टर ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, जिसमें 500 women हैं. And we have women commandos. और हम लोग selection process of trainers is entirely different. We have a board जहाँ पे which is headed by the director. We call for willingness. हर एक district जैसे आपने यहाँ से पूरा student करके हमको भेजता है, then the board sits. Anil was also in the training division. A representative from the training division would come and assess. They will be called. They will assess their suitability and then we will take them into the academy. DSP तक तो हम लोग नहीं कर सकते हैं, हम लोग रसी बात नहीं. But inspector down the line will do it. And then इसका assessment every year में हम लोग करते हैं. जाने के बाद मैंने शुरू कर दिया. Are we still suitable? Are we still needing them? उनको भी बाहर करो और नए वालों को दिया. So ये वाला you can do it. ये तो किसी के हाथ में है. तो वो एक order निकाल सकते हैं जिसमें we can go for the selection process and then we can train our trainees. So as a woman also I want to say why it is important. लड़की बाहर निकलती है पढ़ने के लिए, स्कूल जाने के लिए, कॉलेज जाने के लिए, अपने फ्रेंड से मिलने के लिए, अपने एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए, किसी भी चीज के लिए. Point A to B, B to A. जब तक मैं वहाँ जाऊँ वापस आऊँ, I should please. ये हम लोग को क्रिएट करना हम लोग का काम and every state have done their own part of their securing safety for women लेकिन इसको और थोड़ा सा हम लोग को बढ़ाने की जरूरत है so that जैसे मैं घर से बाहर निकलूँ मुझे लगना चाहिए कि हाँ भैया ठीक है मैं जा रही हूँ मेरे साथ जैसे मैम का यहाँ पे पूजा है सब जगह महिला हेल्थ बन चुका है वंदन भी बन चुका है बस इसको कैसे एक्टिवेट करना है ये भी हम लोग को अपनी ट्रेनिंग से बताने की जरूरत है
So, good afternoon. Good afternoon. No, it's my responsibility. Director CPD साहब ने कल मेरा बर्थडे इतना अच्छे से मनाया तो मेरी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि पूरा सर्कल में यहाँ देकर So, thank you sir, thank you ma'am. जो इतना जबरदस्त इनपुट में आपने दिया और इतनी लर्निंग जो आपने बताई उसमें से तीन चीजें मैंने सबसे पहले बात करी कि रहा है यूज द वर्ड डिफरेंट नॉट बैकग्राउंड यूपी की बात जब भी आती है जनरली मुझे नहीं पता था कि आपके माइंड में क्या क्या विजुअल्स आते हैं आपको मुझे कोई रोक नहीं आना चाहिए लेकिन हाँ कुछ चीजें ऐसी होती है जो विजुअल्स आप तक नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं सो इस ऑनेस्ट ऑडियंस के सामने कुछ चीजें मैं आपको दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा इसमें लिटिल आपको जैसा कि मैम ने अभी कहा कि कोई हीनस क्राइम होता है स्पेशली पूरा नेशन अग्नि में चला जाता है टीम में चला जाता है हम लोग नीचा केसेस बहुत सारे आ जाते हैं बट एक डेटा आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूँ 2007 से लेकर 2013 तक का डेटा इसके जो केसरी का पार्टी है this heinous crime the most heinous crime against women is rape and the entire country का अगर आप डेटा उठा के देखिए 98% of offenders are familiar to the victim. They are their relatives, neighbors, friends. तो सर हम सभी लोग सीनियर पोजीशंस पर हैं हम लोग जानते हैं तो मुश्किल 10% सर केसेस रजिस्टर होते हैं 90% तो क्या रजिस्टर होते नहीं तो 10% रजिस्टर होते हैं उसमें भी 98% के हाल ये है अगर उसको एक्स्ट्रापोलेट कर लें उधर सब रजिस्टर हो और रिपोर्ट क्रॉस 99.9% सड़क पर एक केस एक होता है जहां पर हमारी सोसाइटी सोचती है कि हमारी विमेन लड़कियां सेफ हैं घर की चार दीवारी सर प्लीज लुक एट द डेटा सबसे ज्यादा वो विक्टिम सबसे ज्यादा क्राइम उसको सेफ फोर वॉल्स के बीच में हो रहा है एंड वी डोंट हैव एनी मेथोडोलॉजी टू प्रिवेंट दैट कैसे रोके उसको तो सर इसलिए जो आपने वर्ड यूज किया पेट्रियार्की मॉडल तो बुरा मानने की बात नहीं है ये है सच है मेरे पास इतना लंबा ईमेल आया एक लड़की का बेचारी बड़ी बिजनेस करके लखनऊ में जॉब कर रही है और उसने लिखा कि सर इतना थक जाते हैं वीकेंड को प्लान किया कि हम मूवी देखने चले जाते हैं तो मूवी देख के लौटे रात में 11 बजा था तो शी वाज ऑन माय स्कूटी एंड शी नोटिस कि कुछ बंदे उसको चीज कर रहे हैं एक मोटरसाइकिल पे है जो भी चीज कर रहा है तो उसने गाड़ी की स्पीड बढ़ाई और देखा शी वाज एन एक्टिव गर्ल एक पुलिस चौकी बड़ी वहां पे जाके उसने ब्रेक लगा दी मुझे कम से कम आई विल बी सेफ हियर एंड आई विल रजिस्टर माय कंप्लेंट हियर तो उसने उस दरवाजे से कहा इस तरीके से ये मुझे चेंज करना है ये करना नाउ द रीच ऑफ द वर्ल्ड तुम पहले ये बताओ रात में तुम अकेली आई पिक्चर देख के वो तुम पिक्चर देखकर आई हो रात में 11 बजे अकेले तुम करती क्या हो मैं जॉब करती हूँ पूरे पिताजी का नंबर होता नाउ लुक एट दिस इंटरेक्शन वो बेचारे आई आपसे हेल्प मांगने के लिए वो आपने मोरल पुलिसिंग जो आपको किसी भी ट्रेनिंग में नहीं सिखाई जो आपकी सोसाइटी से सीख कर आए दैट इज एग्जैक्टली कॉल्ड पेट्रियार्की वो माइंडसेट है जो आपको कह रहा है पहले ये बताओ तुम्हारे पिता से नंबर तो पहले उनसे बात करेंगे तुम अकेली निकली So we talked to thousands of girls. बहुत सारे सर्वे किया, टीम्स बनाई कि कम से कम जनरली हम पुलिस में एक प्रॉब्लम ये होता है कि हम लोग 4 लोग बैठ के तय कर लेते हैं हमें ये करना है विदाउट नोइंग कि तुम्हारी जरूरत क्या है. सो हमने इनसे पूछा कि आप बताओ कि आपके प्रॉब्लम्स क्या हैं, इश्यूज क्या हैं. तो इससे बहुत ही शानदार चीजें सामने निकल कर आई. इनफैक्ट इन सब चीजों को सीखने के बाद मैं एक बात दावे से कह सकता हूँ कि आई बिकेम अ बेटर पर्सन. I learned a lot from these girls. और एक चीज जो उन्होंने सबने एक तरफा बताई, बचपन से 2 बातें इनको सिखाई जाती थी, इग्नोर करो, टॉलरेट करो. कोई बात जब तक इग्नोर कर सकते हो इग्नोर कर लो, अगर कुछ हो जाए तो टॉलरेट करो, क्योंकि घर के बाहर जाएगा तो सोशल नेटवर्क इतना जबरदस्त होगा कि कुछ आप कर नहीं सकते. एंड दिस इज दैट डेटा जो मैंने आपको बताया था, ये मैंने अखबार से पढ़ा था 95%. The actual data जो मैंने रिसर्च PhD देखा है 98%, and in UP this is 99%. UP stats. So the recommendations from these girls that we got, उन्होंने सबसे पहली बात ये कही कि सर हमारी प्रॉब्लम आप सॉल्व करें या ना करें, हमारी आइडेंटिटी डिस्क्लोज नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि द मिनट आपने आइडेंटिटी डिस्क्लोज कर दी तो आप हमारी प्रॉब्लम में जाएंगे. तो डोंट डिस्क्लोज योर आइडेंटिटी. अगर आप ये हमें प्रॉमिस करें तो हम अपनी बात कहेंगे, अदरवाइज हम कहते हैं सहना ही सहते हैं. सेकंड, हम कभी खाना नहीं आना चाहते, बिकॉज खाना पुलिस के पास पहुंचना अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा टैबू है हमारी सोसाइटी में आज भी. मैं सोसाइटी का मतलब ये मत समझिए टॉप 10% ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी, हम टॉकिंग इन जनरल, बहुत बड़ा टैबू है कोई लड़की पुलिस थाने में चली जाए. जैसे मैम ने कहा कि अकेली कैसे आ गई तुम, मतलब अकेले ट्रैक्टर का हाथ मारे हुए, तो दैट इज समथिंग जब तक ट्रैक्टर में भाग के ना का प्रॉब्लम नजर नहीं आती. एंड थर्ड जो बात उन्होंने कही कि हम जब शिकायत करें किसी से तो वो हम विमेन ऑफिसर से हैंडल करें, व्हिच इज राइट, बिकॉज़ हम जो मेन फोक है हमारे मन में जो सोशल ट्रेनिंग हमारी हुई है वो हमको हमारी पुलिस ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर हावी हो जाती है. तो इसलिए उन्होंने कहा हमारी बात विमेन ही सुने. और चौथा कंसर्वेटर सब चलो आपने एक बार मेरी हेल्प कर दी थी, तो उसके बाद दोबारा जब बैकलैश हुआ तब आप शेयर करो. एंड दैट इज हाउ वी लर्न दैट देयर हैज टू बी सम definite feedback mechanism and we ensure कि दोबारा हो ना. एंड इस बेसिस पे हम लोगों ने बहुत ही सिंपलिस्टिक सिस्टम बनाया कि क्राइम जब हो जाता है तो हमारी क्राइम मशीनरी चल पड़ती है. हम उस लड़की को एम्पावर करें इस तरीके से कि वो क्राइम होने से पहले जिस दिन पहले दिन उसको कुछ डिस्कम्फर्ट फील हो वो एक फोन कर पहले दिन, चाहे फैमिली के अंदर चाहे सड़क पे कुछ भी हो, जिस दिन वो टेबल डिस्कम्फर्ट फील करती है वो कॉल करते हैं. हमारी लड़कियों को ट्रेन इस तरीके से किया गया कि आपका काम 112 नहीं है, आप इमरजेंसी कॉलर नहीं, आपका काम है इन लड़कियों को जो बड़ी हिम्मत करके कॉल कर रही है इनको सुने और इनको एनकरेज करें कि आप बेटा बोलो. तो आधा घंटा 1 घंटा 2 घंटा कोई दिक्कत नहीं, आप बोलो, बिकॉज आप बोलते नहीं हो, दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. अब आप बोल रही हो तो दिस इज माय एफर्ट कि आपको मैं सपोर्ट करूं कि आप और बोलें. सो द लिसनिंग पार्ट पे हम उनकी प्रॉब्लम पूरी सुनते थे. बड़ी दूसरी बात ये थी सर, पहली बात में बहुत सी लड़कियां सिर्फ ट्रायल लेती थी कि कौन है कैसे है, और फिर अगले दिन को नहीं बताती. 1-2 बार में उनके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस आता था कि हाँ हम बताएंगे. एंड सर जो आपने डेटा बताया सर, अभी मैं आगे डेटा दिखाऊंगा सर. इसका डेटा था सर शुरुआती दौर में 4000 कॉल्स पर डे जो बाद में बढ़ के इस समय बढ़ के 18 से 20000 कॉल्स पर डे हो चुका है. दैट इज द अमाउंट जो अनटच था, अनटैप था, उनको सुनने वाला कोई नहीं था. एक मौका मिला तो आप सुनने को वो शिकायत हमारे पास आना शुरू हो गया. एंड देन सेकंड, लिसन के बाद सॉल्व करने का तरीका भी बहुत सिंपल रखा था हमने. हमने पूरी पुलिस मैकेनिज्म को इसमें इन्वॉल्व किया, क्योंकि देखिए जो लड़के हैं जो उनको परेशान कर रहे हैं, उनको चेस कर रहे हैं, स्टॉप कर रहे हैं, उनको अगर एक बार हमारे यहाँ से किसी मेल को का फोन चला गया, आप पिक्चर में देखें लड़के से बात कर रही है, ऑफेंडर से हमारे मेल को बात कर रहे हैं, उनके पास फोन जाता था, उस पर लिखा होता था 1090 और कुछ नहीं लिखा होता, सिर्फ 1090. वो समझ जाते थे कि ये कोई मतलब गवर्नमेंट का नंबर है, जिसका प्रमोशन कराया था लोगों को पता था 1090 कोई चीज है. एंड उनको एक बोलना पड़ता था कि हमें आपके अगेंस्ट शिकायत मिली है और आप ये कर रहे हैं. सर आप यकीन करें सर 95% लड़के का रिएक्शन, पहला रिएक्शन होता था हम तो सर नहा रहे थे, फोन बाहर रखा था, किसी और ने कर दिया होगा. इमीडिएटली वो एकदम से बैक ट्रैक कर जाते हैं, क्योंकि उनको पता है पुलिस के पास उनका रिकॉर्ड था. और अकेले लड़के उनको थोड़ा सा और हो
जो आप कर रहे हो ये बहुत करेक्ट
सर
बट लॉफुल नहीं।
सर
अब इसको नए लॉ में डालने के लिए हम लोगों ने बहुत कोशिश की, ड्राफ्ट बना करके रखा कि इसमें कुछ तो डाल दो इस चीज की,
सर
नहीं आया।
सर बताओ सर, देखिए हमारे यूपी में सर ये है कि अगर एक एफआईआर हो जाए सर तो कैरेक्टर सर्टिफिकेट दे देंगे।
हाँ
ठीक है सर, तो वही हम कह रहे हैं, अगर एफआईआर हो गई तो आपको कैरेक्टर सर्टिफिकेट नहीं मिलेगा, तो पासपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगा, वो तो होती है सर, तो सर लॉफुल है।
ठीक है, बट उस लड़की की जो प्रॉब्लम है कि
सर,
एक लड़के ने फोन किया
सर
यहाँ आपने लगा दिया है कि अगर पुलिस वाले को पता लग गया कि कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस हुआ है और उसने केस रजिस्टर नहीं किया तो उसके अगेंस्ट एक्शन हो सकता है। दैट इज द लॉ
सर
व्हिच इज इम्प्रैक्टिकल।
सर मैं फिर कर दूं सर, ये सब 2012 के सर, जब निर्भया केस से पहले सर, तब तो कुछ था ही नहीं, इवन 354 आईपीसी में हरासमेंट की डेफिनेशन वो भी नहीं थी सर, तब कुछ भी नहीं था। ये उस वक्त का मॉडल है,
ये मॉडल बहुत अच्छा है।
तो
They don't want to register, sir.
आज नहीं, आई नो
All these girls are who don't want to register.
exactly,
Who can't do anything about it.
so something this is something which somewhere in the law there provision can be made for such
This
activities.
is a kind of mediation.
Such activities, so that would be go a great way actually। मतलब ऐसा है कि वो थाना प्रभारी उसको वह बुला सकता है, बुला करके सामने में डांट सकता है, पर उसका कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। वो प्रोविजन अगर लॉ में कहीं आ जाए या प्रोसेस में आ जाए, it becomes a huge it becomes a multiplier, exponential multiplier for this model. It is a beautiful model.
सर थैंक यू सर। तो सर इसके बाद सर इसका इम्पैक्ट ये होता था कि सर जनरली बहुत सारा बंद रहते थे, चीज करना, उसको स्टॉप करना के बंद कर देते थे, एंड हमें बहुत जबरदस्त सक्सेस मिली कि एक कॉल के बाद 98% 99% लोगों ने दोबारा वो दिक्कत नहीं हुआ। अब इंश्योर कैसे करें कि दिक्कत नहीं हुआ, मतलब वेरी रोबस्ट फीडबैक मिला। इमीडिएटली आफ्टर द फर्स्ट call, within 24 hours we make the first feedback. After 1 week, the second feedback, and after 3 months, third feedback. Third feedback आते आते लड़कियां भूल भी जाती थी हमने शिकायत की, but they used to feel very happy. There is somebody who is tracking us, who is taking care. तो basically जो trust नहीं था सर, जो सिस्टम के ऊपर, उसको बनाने का वो कोशिश था, ताकि भविष्य में वो खुद एक फोर्स मल्टीप्लायर बने। 10 लड़कियों से आप कॉल करो ना, आपके हेल्प होगी। That was the whole idea, to change the mindset of the girls कि हम अगर कॉल करेंगे बिना किसी को बताए, एंड सर दूसरी बात है फीडबैक लेते थे, उसमें भी हम लोग पूछते थे कि आप हमें टाइम बताओ, उस वक्त कॉल करेंगे। कई लड़कियों ने कहा सर घर पे हो गए, घर पे अगर पुलिस का कॉल आया तो हम डिफेंड नहीं कर पाएंगे, आपसे बात नहीं कर पाएंगे पेरेंट्स के साथ, तो वी वुड टॉक टू देम, अच्छा आप बताओ व्हिच इज द बेस्ट टाइम स्लॉट फॉर यू। तो इट वाज वेरी कस्टमर सेंट्रिक कि आप बताओ आपको कैसे चाहिए, हम ऐसे कर देंगे, नो प्रॉब्लम, हमने प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर।
हमने आपका एमपी में अडैप्ट किया था एक पूरा अभी भी चल रहा है, पता नहीं 5 साल हो गए, आई डोंट नो, बट वी हैव अडॉप्टेड दिस।
एंड सर इसको हम लोगों ने जो कहा, इसकी जो जो हमारे पैम्पलेट से उसमें हमने कहीं लिखा कि आप जैसे पुराने जमाने में होता था, दुखी हो, परेशान हो, कोई परेशान कर रहा है, एक तो तू ही पहले वो फोटो लगा देते थे। वी सेड हम इस स्टूडेंट इमेज को ही तो हटाना है, तो वी पुट अ स्माइलिंग गर्ल फेस देयर एंड वी डिडंट कॉल इट अ हेल्पलाइन, क्योंकि हेल्पलाइन का सर कंसेप्ट ये है, जिस दिन आपने कहा मैं हेल्पलाइन बनानी, आप पहले से मान के बैठे हो, दिस इज कॉल्ड पैट्रियटिकल सिस्टम कि वो हेल्पलेस है तो हमें हेल्पलाइन बना दे। तो वी हैव टू चेंज इट, हेल्पलाइन नहीं है, इट इज अ पावर लाइन, वी आर जस्ट एम्पावरिंग यू टू स्पीक अप, आप बोलना सीख लो, बाकी काम अपने आप हो जाएगा सर। दैट वाज द होल आइडिया बिहाइंड दिस सिस्टम, एंड दिस इज समथिंग जो हम लोग कॉलेज में जाकर जोरों से बात करते हैं, चुप्पी थोड़ा बोलो, आप बोलना सीख लो, इतना सफिशिएंट, थिंग्स वुड टेक केयर, तो उसे लॉबी का सपोर्ट करेगा, आप बोलो तो सीख। So this is the kind of graph जो आपके पास है। 2017 तक आते आते ये जो फिगर था 2,50,000 कंप्लेंट हम लोग रजिस्टर में रिजॉल्व कर रहे थे, जो यूपी पुलिस का जो टोटल रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ आईपीसी है उससे भी ज्यादा था, अकेला ये उससे भी ज्यादा। ये उसका सर एक सेटअप है जो मैंने कहा था कि कुछ विजुअल ट्री भी हम आपको देते हैं सर, वुमेन के लिए कोई चीज बनाए तो फिर बहुत शानदार होना चाहिए सर। If we look at visit the place in the evening, it looks like this. And from inside it looks like this, which is absolutely the 5-star, the world class facility for the women power. Like this. And all these girls are police lady, police officers. We will give them respect. I mean, this was another beautiful thing. You have to rich also for the mothers who are there. And perhaps there was no celebrity who visited Lucknow who didn't come to this place to visit. It became a symbol of women empowerment. And so, to answer why we are not bringing them into the main law stream, the problem is if the girl is just getting one phone call, just getting changed to school, let's say, and if she makes a complaint, she's 16. The court trial would come after 10 years, when she's 26, 27, 30. After her marriage, she might get summoned from court after her marriage. And that time, perhaps we would be adding to her agony. We are not solving the problem. So, these crimes which are happening, they need a very quick solution. So, this was, I'm not saying that this is a substitute for the system. This was just an add-on to relieve the girls in the past. Problem खत्म हो गया, पढ़ लो. बात खुल जाएगी, पढ़ाई बंद हो जाएगी, कॉलेज जाना बंद कर देंगे. That was all that. And एक काम से और करते थे कि जो लोग कॉलर्स थे, जो लोग हमारे क्राइम करने वाले लोग जितने भी जिनका रिकॉर्ड होता था, एवरी न्यू ईयर पर हम लोग उनको एक मैसेज देता करते थे. इट वाज कवर्ड बाय द इंटरनेशनल मीडिया. और उनको एक वार्निंग देते थे कि दैट यू आर स्टिल नॉट ऑब्जर्वेशन. जब थे होते नहीं सर, लेकिन हमको बोल देते थे कीप योर कंडक्ट अपराइट, विशिंग यू हैप्पी न्यू ईयर, विमेन पावरमेंट उत्तर प्रदेश. तो इससे बहुत असर पड़ता था साइकोलॉजिकली कि अगर तुम सबको अभी भी चेंज कर रहे हो, somebody is watching us. It was a dramatic effect on their minds. Somebody is watching us. Oh, sorry. And this was one add-on to that same system. So in UP, around 16 next girls appear in the high school examination every year, and we had a plan to make 10% of them school-going girls. The power is that is special police officer with all powers of special police officer given in the police regulation, the police act. अगर हम उनको दे दें, तो they can become our resource persons. वो अपनी क्लास में इंश्योर करें कि गड़बड़ नहीं हो रहा, वो तो कॉल करेंगे सिंपल. And then ये वाला कार्ड जो हमारे पुलिस का कार्ड था, except same कार्ड स्पेशल पुलिस ऑफिसर अंडर पुलिस एक्ट 17 के तहत हमने उनको ऑफिशियली दिया कि आप पुलिस ऑफिसर बनिए. और इसका असर इतना सिंपली इफेक्ट हुआ कि हजारों शादियां सब जो बाल विवाह होते थे, चाइल्ड मैरिज, जो जनरली इसलिए कोई शिकायत नहीं करता, वो नाम हो जाएगा. Now, one girl would make a phone call, किसी को और यहाँ से कॉल जाता था, बात करो इसको. तो बैक ट्रैक कर पाना बहुत मुश्किल था कि और किसने की एनोनिमिटी का फायदा उठा के लड़कियों ने से बहुत सारी शादियों को रुकवाया, बहुत सारे अपराध को रुकवाया जो अदरवाइज वो ना कह पाती क्योंकि कहीं हमारी बात न थी. तो दिस इज अ वेरी स्मॉल एफर्ट. और जब तक मैं वहां था, मेरी 2.5 लाख लड़कियां स्पेशल पुलिस ऑफिसर बन चुकी थी. इस तरह के ड्यूटी सेक्शन हम उनको इस तरह की टी-शर्ट भी दे देते हैं. Just थोड़ा हवा बना, थोड़ा हल्ला बजाने की बात है कि आप थोड़ा बोल सकते हो. कोई ना कोई है एक सिस्टम जो सुन लेगा आपको बिना बताए किसने बोला. That was the whole idea. और सर इसका इम्पैक्ट ये हुआ कि लखनऊ का एक जमाने में सबसे बड़ा चौराहा हुआ करता था, हजरतगंज चौराहा से भी लोग जानते हैं, दिल्ली में जा रहे हैं. लेकिन सर आज इसके बनने के बाद यहाँ पर ये है, उस चौराहे का नाम हो गया है सर विमेन पावरमेंट चौराहा. तो सर ये बहुत ट्रिब्यूट है फॉर द गर्ल्स एंड वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट फ्रॉम द उत्तर प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I mean, just add sir, आप obviously 2012 की बात बता रहे हैं. We made sure that we changed the term EPG. We use sexual harassment at public places, SHPP now. We don't allow anybody to use these kind and words like manpower, you change it to staffing. You know, these language really matters. You know, where because these are language creates these inbuilt perceptions. So just great work.
Wonderful.
I just want to add on.
Yeah, please.
Because I have a talk tomorrow in a university on women empowerment. So I've taken statistics from the 1090 and visited also. So the thing is that it has become robust and it continues. And the statistics say from 1/1/2024 to 39/2024. From the rural area they had 2,36,328 calls. My God. And from the urban they had 1,65,560.
Rural areas. Talking.
That is why I want to statistics. And also age group from age 16 till years 50. और मुझे उन्होंने कहा कि कई बार तो सरकार जैसे गवर्नमेंट सर्विसेज की वाइज भी कहती है कि हमको ऐसा करना है. And beyond that, students, for students are like 57,900 sir. Working women are 20,691 and non-working are 2,64,291. So I thought that was very interesting. जो घर में रहकर आसपास नहीं बोल पाती थी, जबकि जो बाहर चला गया उसके तो मेरे पास हिम्मत आ गई है, पर जो वहाँ रहती थी उनके लिए बहुत बहुत समस्या है. This is what I got my understanding.
No, absolutely. Very good.
मैं की बात में ऐड करूं सर, जो जो ऑफिस गोइंग गर्ल्स थी, जो बाहर जा रही थी, उनका हरासमेंट कम was the women who were staying in.
That's why all the statistics, that all most trying.
तो ये जो माइंडसेट हम लोग का है पुराना कि बाहर जाएंगे तो खतरा है, वो बिल्कुल गलत है. लड़कियां बाहर, सर प्लीज.
Yeah. Anybody, if they want to speak something particularly as to what could be the likely suggestions for training people who are either responding to women crime or who are even trainers who would go ahead and train people.
Thank you, sir. I would like to just move forward a suggestion. Right before coming to BPR&D, I had a opportunity to go to the training institute. So, sir, there was 13,000 inspectors, they were recruited, and I was in charge of one institution where there was 2,000 inspectors sent to me to be trained, and nearly 1,000 really service sectors were being sent to the other institute which I was in charge of that also. So with that small kind of exposure which I had, only for the initial period I was there in ISP. So one thing I observed that the training need in that kind of area is putting it in context as I was yesterday when I was talking to the women complaining, and I requested you please go to Malala to get your interest. She said one remark, सर वहाँ मुझे मत भेजिए, क्योंकि वहाँ हमको ना कम से कम अगर मैं थाने में जाता हूँ ना तो हमको मैन हैंडलिंग नहीं करते हैं. अगर मैं महिला थाने में जाऊँगा ना उसमें बाल पीछे वो लोग मेरे साथ बदतमीजी करते हैं. As a young ST, really registered in my thinking as a policy maker, as a responsible police officer, what to do about it. And then putting the context into when I come to the training, it's very uneasy. So, when I interacted with those thousands of inspectors, everybody is carrying their own vulnerabilities, and they are really studying to redefine themselves into the police uniform. So, the glaring gap which I found there is that there is no any intervention in the training where you are actually making them to redefine in a responsible police officer. We are putting the same curriculum which has been defined for the male officers. They are going to the indoor and outdoor. There is no any intervention. That is the need of the which I found. So when I interacted with them, they said when I interacted with the Thana person, क्यों आप ऐसे बिहेव करते हैं? तो मैंने कहा सर यही तो हमको सिखाया है, यही तो we are being treated like this only on the ground also, on the thing also. So that's not everything. Like putting coming into the context, when they can speak very politely and with empathetic manner, I was thinking that they are civilians, but now in second they are police officers. So you must have designed a curriculum for them to change their attitude and behavior. Can we take that curriculum and put it to our basic training curriculum so that the women know that what they are and how to come? First, they have to find them. They can be a good leader. So, that the request is that now we can think about that. To add a specific curriculum for the lady officers.
So I want to add to that. We have recently changed the curriculum a week ago. We have added on good behavior skills, communication skills, as well as gender to a large degree at home. But my thing is what you have touched upon is that I need to change my limit. No, I need it for my men also. Because it is not his behavior. There must be equal behavior. Why is he copying the men behavior? The idea is this is the behavior. Women must have the same trait and the men must have the same trait. So we are now adding on to that. Very good suggestion. But I would suggest that nobody can afford to have this behavior in an interaction.
I would like to.
Physical necessity to take
this, whatever intervention we try to see, this is exactly what it is. It is not that just only women have to be gender sensitive. But it does, when I speak to women, sometimes I say, well, I like all other burdens, this falls more on you, because people will expect gender sensitive.
Can I add on something?
Yes. Exactly. That's a very poor assumption. Yeah.
Which is a totally
Wrong assumption.
Absolutely. Always thought about in all of my career, especially now, more years to add on. When a woman goes to a bank, she doesn't seek a woman out.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do we expect when a woman goes to a police station, she
Yes.
will be
Only a woman.
It's such an absurd thing with one police station. It's very good to have first interaction with a woman one or two there. But not all women are alike. You can't put a woman in a dice. Woman likes a woman, a man is comfortable with a man. It's always a very, I don't know, I feel very uncomfortable.
And the other part of it, if I may add,
the more sensitive to women, and the reverse is not, it's about human beings.
the flip side of that, if I may say, is the fact you look at women police officers, because you're talking about training them. Look how they view themselves, right? They feel they have, what is their career growth? Even a directly recruited inspector, which is a very senior rank, a cutting edge, I believe, is sub-inspector and inspector. They are pushed into women police stations, right? So what is there? We all want career growth for ourselves. We all want to be posted in districts. We all want this, that, whatever, and which is a very legitimate. Like ma'am said, everybody is finally human, right? And what are we doing? On the flip side, we are creating women who are, again, we have pushed them into a very, very narrow
So
gender.
I would like to
Police officers are also like
I would like to mention a couple of things that we did here in Madhya Pradesh. You might have seen that image of a woman police officer beating up someone who had broken the COVID lockdown, and that really shook us. And so we talked to our friends in the Tata Institute to design a course for us to bring women back to themselves. That is what we called it, Apne Paas Lotto.
Right.
And Rashmi is sitting here, and Malay, both of them conducted this training. And so we picked out women whose behavior, we asked the SPs and commandants, and we picked out women whose behavior had been more nefarious. And in fact, when we called 50 of them, there were 50 because the Tata Institute said we can only handle a class of 50. So when they said कि हमने ऐसा क्या अपराध कर दिया है, so but it was transformational. It was, and we did this for all women, and and we also did this in a way that they returned to being their sensitive selves, because the bringing up of girls in our country is better than the bringing up of boys. Girls are taught to be caring, sensitive. Boys are taught to be irritating princes. I mean, self-contained Maharaja ho, or girls are supposed to be looking at. So we started integrating these two, and in the induction courses where we had all genders, we had people integrated and talking about this. So this is one thing. The other thing was that women constables would delay their training. शादी हो रही है, बच्चा हो रहा है. So what we did was, and BPR&D very nicely has reported on this also. We talked about it in Shimla. That we did, what we did was we created something called, we had an SP there, Hitika Vasil and Yangchen Bhutia, two SPs ek ke baad ek aayi. They created this place called Vatsalya, and which is a separate barrack where a woman trainee can come with any woman caretaker and keep her child with her. So we had immediate 100% attendance of women who came to train. और ये जो difficulty है of getting trained women in the thanas, वो भी आ गई. And these women were of course trained in this new paradigm that we were training. In fact, we did this, upgraded it, and sub-inspectors or deputy SPs को भी हमने allow कर दिया. Now we had a tribal girl who was a deputy SP, and उनके family भी थी, बच्चा था. So she once I went to the academy, बाहर में उनकी एक lady बैठी थी उसके बच्चे को लेकर. She was her mother-in-law. और मैंने कहा कि कैसे हो आप, तो बोली अच्छी चल रही हमारी ट्रेनिंग. So the thing is that these little experiments we did. I just wanted to point.
Yes, you are speaking something.
Professionally, we have to deliver. All we need to learn how to talk to all. we need to understand and we need to upskill ourselves. First thing is our training, we need to upskill ourselves, we need to focus on training our trainees, and that actually has to start from our training institution itself. Wash Act needs to get implemented. We need to be very conscious about what dictionary we are using when we are discussing within ourselves in a training institution. When they are coming and when the probationer comes and gets into it, is like a ducking, it's like an imprinting of the impression which they see or what the faculty or whosoever is training them talks. A lot of things are not taught consciously but are discussed unconsciously in a training curriculum which is about 9 months, 6 months. उस माहौल में जो discussions होती हैं, जो बातें होती हैं, including our ustad, anybody who is there from all ranks who are the level of faculty. We will not be able to change the society immediately, but we will at least start within ourselves and start focusing on training ourselves. Clearly bringing in the gender sensitization part, and this is propaganda only. But this positive propaganda has to be brought in at a very regular stage.
Can I respond to something which you said? Sir, can I see one thing? I'm sorry, I'm just being a police, gender police. You know, sometimes, like you said, we are all officers, we are not. There is a difference. I mean, I can say it with some emphasis because it's in house. We are like, we have to understand that there are gender differences, and what you said, and what you also said. The option C, the dilemma is the same as is, you know, like probably I put it, when a person of any gender comes into police, do they follow that template of a police? Am I a cop? मैं पुलिस वाला या पुलिस वाली हूँ या मैं हूँ एक इंसान हूँ? That is the crux of training. And like ma'am you said, this self-negation is something that is now being understood in gender, you know, context. And when you जो आप अपने आप से जो oath-proof होते हैं, that is something which has to be incorporated in training for everybody. Because that self-negation of women, because the moment you are in uniform, you want to be taken seriously. And because you are a mere girl, you will not be taken seriously till today, and I'm sure many have. I have bought only 2 pairs of shoes in my 30 years of service. 20 years, I wore the shoe which NPA issued to me because I would not get a size for me. And the next have I have got one जूता जिसका फीता लगा के अंदर बड़े नंबर का छोटा डाला हुआ. Just saying, these are normal experiences. And imagine a police officer, an IPS officer, who's walking around on a VIP duty in shoes which don't fit me. This is an ma'am क्या ये experience है कई लोगों का experience. So I'm just saying that this self-negation I feel is that because I wonder, you know, I wonder whether getting a lot of women is going to make a difference if women themselves are negating their gender and their identity as women. Because women are different, our bodies are different, so therefore we talk about hormones impacting everything. Hormones of women are different throughout it. So needs are different, social roles are different. I think it's a good idea from the training, like you very rightly said, from the inception into the job to incorporate yourself not as a police wala who's over and above. You know, we are also a very patriarchal, punitive society. We feel बड़े ने कह दिया सजा देना. Image है. वो पेरेंट का इमेज है ना, जैसे साइकोलॉजी में कहते हैं. Yeah, because otherwise you are as it is. Yeah, man can softer. Yes, exactly, to be accepted. True. Yeah, so the same struggle is there for men and women. Absolutely.
With your permission, sir, I want to make another observation, which is primarily another observation. Because I exposed it in the CAP when I was an IC there. We said at that time there was a qualification that the women should be introduced into the initiatives of the CAP. So, sir, while I was interacting with the men in the course, two observations I have seen. The men have really mellowed down the behavior of the constable and behavior of the policy force. Earlier they used to give value to each other and they swear at each other. But now when they are working with the women on the border where there is no any public and there. So over the period, 6 months or over years, and when the findings have come, is that their behavior has changed. I'm talking about the symbiotic influence of each other. So it is out of our culture the women, their courage level has improved, their confidence has improved, the way the posture and everything is improved, might has misbehaved with the public. When I saw the same constable in the setup of the district policy and the same human being in the setup of the CAPL, where this lady constable is behaving so decently when the public is coming, and when this constable who is in the district setup behaving in a good manner, so
All about the power dynamics. The
so
power. You're very right. You, absolutely.
the training module or training
So what you are saying in to sum it up is that calibrate your responses. Do not take extreme stances. There are no pure men, pure women roles. You have to give them time. The social change has been humongous. You have to give them time to adjust. Probably 5 to 10 years down the line, I mean, you guys will change the things have gone better. Yeah, please.
Sir, while I've been listening to the contemporary policing as far as the women officer are concerned, sir, just to advise this August gathering, my maternal grandmother, Nani, she was the first woman police officer of Asia. Srimati Shakutla Bhattacharya. She joined the police force immediately after independence. Her mural is there at the IPO metro station as well as at the Kingsway Camp Museum of Delhi Police. She retired as the DCP from Delhi Police in 1984, and we are extremely proud of her. And we think about her as a role model in the family.
Absolutely.
Of course, she is.
These are the people who have pioneered the way, you know. Absolutely. Fantastic. Good to know. Anybody else? Yeah, sure. And then, Ji, please do.
Sir, I just want to add, you were discussing about women in police and how they are treated. So we have created women police stations over a period of time and specific women police. And most of the crime against women are being dealt by those police station women. Our women officers, the cutting edge, they most of the time get posted here, so the number is less. And all the time they are dealing with domestic disputes. 90% cases are of domestic disputes where they don't have any expertise of handling different kind of crimes, and they also are frustrated in this group. So out of the discussion, I know it's not out of context, sir. What is the relevance of having moving police stations or specific moving
This been discussed several forums, and probably a mixed one is now what the MHA is also recommended.
Because sir, is that are we not giving even an impression
No, you are very right.
yeah, you're right. People in the society because it's not safe to go to a police station where there is now working. You should go to a women police station and not to that place. Why can't we have more women
These are all knee-jerk reactions. Women police station bana do. But you're very right. There is a need for women to be in mainstream policing, and I will tell you, this lady Anuradha, she forced me to kick the police women to field.
Yes.
They used to come, मेरा बच्चा बीमार है तो she said नहीं post करो इनको.
Gender
And well, I said नहीं अच्छा चलो ठीक है. She forced me, and they did very well. So I must say that if we put them out of their comfort level, they are going to produce maximum and good results. Your point is very valid and well taken. Absolutely. 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 Very well point. Yes, please.
this perception that men and women are different is not medically sociologically yes, biologically
Men don't have menopause, sir.
No, okay. Now, women not allowed to say anything. Please. You go ahead.
what I want to say when we come on this sensitization thing, the training should be on objectivity and investigation. The training should be on understanding each person as an individual human being rather than as a gender construct. So
Everybody is a gender construct, unfortunately. Everybody is a social construct.
कोई बात नहीं, वो let him come. Don't take the liberty. इतनी देर में तो बोल रहे हैं.
There are so many factors. The education level constantly has increased. People are now more aware. There is social media. There are so many things that narrow down or they change behavior. What the training institutes is required is basically objectivity to differentiate between objectivism and objectivity. Objectivism is when we see that such and such person is a commodity. She should have come with some item, whatever. So these constructs are to be broken at the same time. So objectivity, soft skills are required for both men and women police officers. And the biases which are actually created, they have to be broken. So we should not just cling to an emotional listening pull that she is a woman, so she has to be treated differently. Each human being should be treated with objectivity, or that is the answer to all crime investigations, all situations, including gender offenses.
It goes both ways. There's an argument which is there. You cannot have a single answer of everything. Yes, please. Anybody else? हाँ, आपका पूरा ही नहीं हुआ था उस समय.
I just want to go to the, I think maybe the basics of it. The basics of it, what I feel is that now the children have started studying. It is law service. Even with that, like amendment which 1973, the Constitution Amendment we got in the franchise system. Though you have women 30% of franchise level, but we still have Pradhan. जहाँ ये बात हो रही है जब हम मेंटेन तो डाउरी में तो डाउरी में ऊपर से नीचे भी एंट्री है तो ऊपर 20 किलोमीटर वॉक तो आप उस डाउरी को कैसे करेंगे. The idea is this that जो भी हमारे decision making levels में है ये कभी नहीं सोचा जाता है कि कुछ decision लेती है कुछ क्या सारी because we are as a human being we are a chunk of people 50% में we must sit on the table together and decide on any issue. Whether it is a war, whether it is war cannot be fought only when it is children suffer. It's a humanity aspect. So why don't for every issue, if not if there is a lot of women who take interest, even after that अगर पंचायत में देखेंगे तो everybody, the women who are not educated, they today have got awards for changing the scenario. Upper was of so women must come to talk of the issue and be a partner in decision making level at every point. So चाहे वो खाना ही हो that's not only thing. और उसमें हमसे अभी क्या हो we are like पंचायत 30% हो गया तो it is like no we it's like making you feel अच्छा हमने 30% हो गया. I think most of the women should be trained like this that though we can come on our own on our own merit but at the same time do any men feel obliged? I do not think so. But a lot of women feel obliged, and talking about this, and if that is so, for any section of weaker section of society, if he feels or she feels obliged, I think that that side society needs a correction. It is a holistic society needs a correction, and I think when we sit on this table, we are all at that level where we must slightly agree to change that yes, this may be the primary cause of so many of our ills.
Very well said. I think everybody else will agree with what you have said. But what, first, let's say if there is anybody else who wants to.
So we have substitute for emotionally train our all the training sectors. So we have
Mark. Yes. Yes, please.
Sir, I am in training by volition, by choice. I conduct a lecture in my academy for judicial prosecution and police officers.
You are in Jaipur. I met you, I think.
Yes, last week. उसमें सर मैं शुरुआत ये करता हूँ कि
कि हमारी 3 तरह की पुलिस है, एक निकृष्ट पुलिस है, एक मिडल में एक बहुत बड़ा जोन है, और एक इवॉल्व पुलिस। जो बीच वाला जोन है, जो जल्दी सर भी कह रहे थे, अगर उनको कहा जाए कि सर बोला जाए तो कंफ्यूज है, बोले कि ना बोले। उसका कारण ये है कि उसकी अपब्रिंगिंग से लेके आज तक जब वो जिस भी एज पे है, वो शुरुआत में क्या सीखता है, नानी तेरी मोरनी को मोर ले गए, बाकी जो बचा था सारे चोर ले गए, उन चोरों की खूब खबर नहीं मोटे खाने ला। तो एक स्टीरियोटाइपिंग बायस उस लेवल से शुरू हो रहा है जब वो लोरी सुन रहा है या कहानी सुन रहा है वहां से, और आज तक एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है। तो उस छोटे कोहॉर्ट को मैं कहता हूँ कि आप इस स्टीरियोटाइप से समझे सीखो और कोशिश करें कि ये मिडिल पास उसको इवॉल्व की तरफ जाए। मेरा एक सजेशन है सर, हमारे यहाँ पे एनसीईआरटी की कुरिकुलम टीम्स, कुरिकुलम बॉडीज है, और नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बनती है हर 4-5 साल बाद। उसमें हमारी रिसर्च को रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए कोई भी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कभी नहीं होता। मेरी ट्रेनिंग का अनुभव ये कहता है कि हम कब तक 30-40 लोगों को ही बता पाएंगे ये बात, अगर ये हमारे स्टीरियोटाइप्स को हम इसी तरह क्यूरिकुलम में रखवाएंगे। और दो चीजों का, वुमेन रिलेटेड इश्यूज, स्टीरियोटाइप्स ऑफ पुलिस एक क्लब कर सकते हैं, और दूसरा ट्रैफिक रिलेटेड। हमारे यहाँ कोई ट्रैफिक में कोई सेंस नहीं है, और आई थिंक पुलिस की इनपुट्स को क्यूरिकुलम में, नॉट ओनली ट्रेनिंग ऑफ पुलिस में, बट जनरल क्यूरिकुलम में बच्चों की ट्रेनिंग में ऐड करें।
Good idea. Somebody or koi. So to wrap it up, the animated discussion, which was very good, because this is an issue which needs to be understood, and it's not only a question of crime against women, it's also a question of how the police personnel should be adequately trained to handle that situation. That is the key thing. So the first thing which probably comes out is that we cannot have an exclusive thing. We need to we need to include things, we need to try and give some time for things to improve. At the same time, right from the curriculum level at the training academy, we should try and ensure that things get better. Unfortunately, is not just limited to the training institution. That we learn all good things at training institution, we learn in NPA what should be. And when you get out of NPA, the local Thanedar tells you, "Oh, wo to hona tha. This is what is." So that is where the challenge comes in. So what about training at the field level? That is the most important thing. Some of the lessons which we learned from this almost 5 year experience is that a didactic training in the face-to-face instructional training probably have not that much of impact, as is a case-to-case based training जो आपने feedback वाला जो system लगाया है, that is probably something which can add more value. We as we go on how to interact with people, we had these small 50 to 60% training camps, एक दिन दो दिन छोटे training groups, wherein the resource person also are local and some from the non-governmental sector. If they can get together and deal with the public, with not only the community outreach but also the women help desk and the local police stations, probably that can add much more value, because you go on reiterating it. It cannot be a one time itself. You have to, because dynamics changing, each time you have to keep repeating such exercises in which you involve. I think it's just, I don't know if any of you remember, a couple of years back, the BGYG's conference had recommended this. कि साहब 50-50 लोगों की ट्रेनिंग हर IPS ऑफिसर करेगा, like 100 जो भी है, like all other recommendations, this also has been forgotten, क्योंकि हर बार नई बात आनी है, पुरानी बात कहाँ जाएगी. So here this is something which is actually going to be very relevant and very useful. This is probably in the thing what a friend here was saying. Probably the investigation of women crime is one of the, one of the weakest link which we have. We do not know. I mean, if you look at what had happened in the Kolkata case, The CBI has charged treated only the same guy who was arrested by Kolkata police. Nothing has changed. But the way you approach the thing creates a problem. So, how do you teach people investigation? Not only crime against women, general investigation skills are quite poor. That's one thing. So, at the sub inspector level, probably we should, and I'm sure if we are able to, go deeper than just sheer number, we will find that these are these 10, 20, 30 people in a district who are actually willing investigators. So if you add skills to them, they would be far more useful. So each criminal law amendment says कि women police ही बात सुनेगी, women police ही investigate करेगी, तो वो कहाँ से करेगी? उसके पास कोई skill नहीं है. So I mean, I have seen, not in the Kolkata case, there was this Hathras case in which there was a lot of hue and cry. Ultimately, the case has been, the fellow has been convicted, जो उस लड़की ने ओरिजिनल डाइंग डिक्लेरेशन बताया था. But the fact remains that because of shoddy investigation in the earlier stage, we think sort of went into an explosive stage. The same happened in Kolkata case. So investigative skills is something which probably we can add on. I'm grateful to the BPR&D for giving me this opportunity to interact with you young people here. And I hope and wish you all the best. This is a big challenge for all of you. And I'm sure that you have the capacity and the adequacy to do much better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure is all mine.
I thank all the panelists on behalf of DDBPR&D for this valuable voice with DDBPR&D. Please honor the panelists by presenting them with the medal. I request them to please present the medal to Shri Vishkumar Gujari.
Thank you.
I request them to please present the memento to Sally Radhika.
कार में रखवा दीजिए.
I request them to please present the memento to Viristhar Azhar Vishina.
सर मुझे अपना गाइड किया जाएगा.
हाँ बिल्कुल. आप बिल्कुल बात करें. हम तो यही हैं, आपके मोमेंटो देते रहते हैं.